Hello, welcome back to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Angela and all of the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. You'll most often find me hanging out either here on YouTube or over on Instagram. If this is your first time here, then you are most welcome. I hope you enjoy your visit, and if you do, you are most welcome to subscribe to the channel. It'd be lovely to have you as a returning viewer. Today's video, I have my April making wrap up for you. So just to say a quick disclaimer, for some reason my brain has decided that April didn't happen, and I keep wanting to refer to this as my March making wrap up. So if I say March at any point in this video, I mean April. Just bear with me and my funny brain. Brains are strange sometimes, aren't they? Some knitting, some crochet and some spinning to share with you for this month's making wrap up. And then if you would like to stick around till the end of the video, I have one giveaway winner to announce, so the winner for the first quarter of our 12 cast-ons make along, and I also have a new giveaway to announce. We recently reached 1,000 subscribers here on the channel, which is just amazing. Thank you all so much for being here. I decided I wanted to celebrate that with a giveaway, so I've got two prizes to give away to two lucky winners. So yeah, if you're interested, then please do stick around till the end to find out how you can enter into that giveaway. Before I get delving into my making content, I did want to say a couple of thank yous before I get stuck into the video. I've received various lovely packages in the post in the last few weeks, so I just wanted to give a couple of shout outs. I want to say first thanks to the lovely Sherry, who has the Twisted Dye Kitchen podcast. Sherry sent me a huge bag of lovely Peyton's Croy sock yarn, which is really hard to get here in the UK. I'll pop a link to Sherry's channel down below the video if you want to go and check her out. She does amazing spinning and also rug hooking, which her artistic talents in rug hooking are just amazing. She just blows me away when anytime she shares one of her rug hooking projects. So thank you so much to Sherry for that. I also received two lovely note cards. I run a small online yarn shop, and I often scribble little notes to folks when they place an order at the shop, and two lovely ladies, Kathy, I've stuck these into my journal, so you have to excuse me for holding these up like this, but Kathy sent me this lovely note card with a little kitten on, and the lovely Mel sent me this lovely card with foxes on, and they both happened to arrive on the same day, and both inside the card said that they'd enjoyed the little notes that I've been scribbling on orders and wanted to send me a little note in return. So those completely cheered up my day, and so I just wanted to say thank you here, both to Kathy and to Mel for those. I also received a wonderful package from the lovely Kate, and Kate has donated some skeins of yarn to give away as podcast prizes, and you'll see one of those later because one of those will feature in the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. So I want to say a big thank you to Kate, and also to the lovely Angie of the Falls for Fibre podcast and the dyer extraordinaire behind Thick Skein, because Angie has sent me a couple of packages over the last few weeks containing tea and treats and goodies. So thank you so much to Angie for those lovely treats, and I shared some of the tea that I got sent over on my Patreon only video for April. So if you're interested in getting a little bit extra content from me, then you're most welcome to join our Patreon community. There are several tiers over there which you can sign up to, and it's just a way of helping to regularly support the podcast, and in turn I pop some extra content over there as a thank you for my Patreons. Okay, let's get into the making content. If you watched my April making plans video, I'll pop a link up on the screen. You'll know that I had quite ambitious plans for April, and maybe with hindsight a little bit too ambitious, but I think I recognised that as I was making that video and chatting through the projects that I'd hoped to get to. I had some successes, but a couple of projects that didn't really get off the ground either, so I'll chat about all of them as I go through. But first, I want to share a couple of the projects that did get finished that I have already made videos about and popped up on the channel. So I'm not going to talk about these in a huge amount of detail because they have their own videos dedicated to them if you're interested in finding out more. The first thing that I want to talk about is my hat project, and I was very vague when I employed the use of my trusty dice to help me choose some projects to work on throughout April. I was very vague when the hat prompt came up, and that's because I already had an idea for a project in the back of my head. It was already in the works, and I didn't want to say too much to spoil that project. So at the beginning of this week, I popped my first video, which I hope will be a little mini series where someone else picks my project for me. So picks my knitting or my crochet, so gives me a suggestion for a pattern or some yarn to use. So all of the decisions are taken away from me. And I leave my fate in someone else's hands. And the lovely Alex of Late Night Knits chose the Kira hat pattern made from some lovely 4-ply yarn from Schiller's There. And I made this hat this month. Pattern is by the lovely Charlotte of Sky Knits, and as I say, the yarn is from Schiller's There. So I'm not going to say anything about that other than as a little follow-up to that video. I just want to say a huge thank you to Charlotte of Sky Knits, because she watched the video and saw me mention that I'd not received my Ravelry download code, and that I had to buy this pattern separately in order to progress and complete this little kit that I purchased. So Charlotte very kindly refunded me the cost of the pattern that I purchased, as it should have come as a download code in the kit. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. It wasn't a huge issue for me, but yeah, I thought that was a very kind gesture of her, and yeah, as I say, just wanted to mention it here. So first project finished, the Kira hat by Sky Knits, knit in Schiller's There 4-ply Cora or Koara. I'm still not sure how to pronounce that yarn, and there's a whole video dedicated to this if you'd like to watch me progress through this project and find out a little bit more about the pattern and the yarn. The second thing that I managed to get done was my pile of mending, or let's say 3/4 of the pile of mending, and a little bit of unexpected mending too. And again, I have a whole video dedicated to this. I ended up re-knitting cuffs on my Dern sweater. So that one lives to fight another day. This is my favourite sweater, my most worn sweater, and it just started to show quite a bit of wear and tear around the sleeve cuffs, and a hole had emerged in one of the shoulder seams. So I managed to get that repaired. I also ripped out the bottom of my Darumi sweater and added a few extra inches of length to that one. And I also mended a couple of little holes in my Pebbles and Pathway socks, and I also made a small repair in my Radiate sweater, which I don't have up here with me. So yeah, that little pile of mending and adjusting have been hanging around for a few months, so I was really happy to get that done. And again, if you want to find out more about the trials and tribulations I had while mending, then I'll pop a link to the video dedicated to that up on the screen now. So now to chat about a couple of the projects that were on my list that really didn't quite get off the ground in the way that I wanted to. And the first one is probably going to be of no surprise to anyone, and you're probably going to be very disappointed in me. I am disappointed in me, but James's dude sweater did not get touched at all. I really did have good intentions, and I know it sounds like I am making excuses, but I just really did bite off more than I could really chew throughout April, and unfortunately the dude sweater was one that just fell by the wayside. So I really need to make at some point in the coming months, it's not going to be through May, I've decided what's going to be kind of my focus in May, and I'll pop a video up about that soon, but at some point in the not too distant future I really need to make the dude my sort of focus on it every day until it's finished project, and in that way hopefully it will get done. So if you are new here, the dude is a cardigan pattern by Andrea Wrangle, and I'm making that for my partner James, and it's been on the needles for ever and a day, and it's become my nemesis project because nothing seems to go right and I haven't really enjoyed the process at all. But it needs a little bit of adjustment, and hopefully an adjustment will make the fit a little bit better for James, and I need to just crack on and get that done. But yeah, it was meant to happen in April, but like I say, I ran out of time. That is there's no other excuse other than that. So yeah, slap on the wrist from me. The other project that got a little bit sidetracked was the one that I asked you guys to vote on. So I asked you to choose whether I should make some progress on my giraffe socks or my winter deer socks, which are two of my works in progress. And the voting was quite tight for a while, but then the giraffe socks did pull out into the lead. But I sabotaged myself on these. And let me explain a little bit more. So when I showed you this project, this is a pair of socks that I am designing ostensibly for my sister. If you have watched my videos before, you'll know that I sent the first stock off to my sister for her to try on, and she was meant to send it back to me, and it just hasn't, you know, pandemics happened and it just hasn't come back my way. So I decided as the socks, when I tried them on Fit Me Too, that I would finish the second sock that I had in progress, which is this sock here, and then knit a third sock for me. So I had a pair, and then if and when my sister returns that first sock, I will finish and make a second sock for her as well. Very convoluted, but hopefully you get my drift. However, as I say, I sabotaged myself because this is the sock that I showed you, and as you can see, I did make a little bit of progress on that. But I also have another sock started, and this one isn't finished. So yeah, I went off on a tangent with these. So what happened was I did my heel turn, and I put in the heel flap and gusset, started knitting down the foot. I didn't quite get my sort of decreases right compared to my picture of the first sock. So instead of kind of, I don't know if you can see that very well on this on the camera here, but instead of sort of these tram lines, as it were, tapering off into a point, I marked my stitches incorrectly. Obviously my notes weren't that great from the first sock, and I've got this kind of line across here, which I wasn't particularly happy with. I wanted all these to kind of like merge and disappear into the bottom of the sock. So I thought, okay, well, at some point I shall rip back and redo that and get the numbers right. However, when I tried this sock on, I could get it on, but it was a little bit tight. And I'm sure that was probably the case with the first sock too. My sister is quite a lot smaller than me, but I think my original intention was for this to be a 68 stitch sock. But when I went back and looked at my sort of colour work chart, I'd missed out some numbers, and it was actually a 66 stitch sock. Try and say that fast. So yeah, I had to kind of wrestle it over my heel a little bit. So that led me to think, oh, maybe I should just do a little bit of a redesign of this sock. A few people had asked me if I was going to release this as a pattern, and while that's not really my intention, I kind of thought, oh well, if I've got to make a slightly bigger sock for me, then maybe I could start messing around with the charts a bit and maybe come up with a couple of different sizes, so that if down the line I do decide that maybe I could release it, then I would have the designing done. And also on this original sock, the colour work chart is like 50 rows long, which I think for the intention for this kind of draft print, I quite liked, because you want it to be somewhat random to kind of reflect a more natural pattern. But I sort of wondered whether I could reduce that to half the amount of rows and do sort of like a sort of 20-25 row chart repeat, so that if I do release it, it's not quite so daunting, if that makes any sense. So yeah, my plans completely veered off of what my intention was. So I started a whole new sock for myself, a different stitch count and a different colour work chart. So that meant I was kind of messing around with the chart as I went. I was trying to kind of design on the go, and yeah, instead of finishing this pair of socks for me, I decided to make a whole new pair of socks. This second one would be for my sister if and when she returns the first one. However, I do need to rip back. This second pair would be for me, and yeah, as you can see, I got myself on all sorts of tangents and sidetracks, and you know, in effect, I knit a whole sock because, you know, I did the bottom part of this and the top part of this, but I didn't really end up achieving anything apart from giving myself more work. They led me off down a path that ended up being very windy and twisty, and I got a little bit lost. And I didn't emerge from the other end of that twisty turny trail with anything achieved other than 2 half finished socks. So yeah. Let's quickly draw a line under the dude and the draft socks and move on to some things that did get done. Just pause the video there for a second because I had to wander across the other side of the room to grab what I wanted to show you next. And I had a little snack while I was over there. The lovely Judith sent me these chicken bones, which I'd never heard of. I think she sent me them back in December sort of time. And I've been rationing them because they're absolutely delicious. They're like these cinnamon, let me show you one. They're like these kind of cinnamon sugary sweets with chocolate inside. Delicious. I've still got a few left, but a bit of a tangent, wasn't it? For someone who said they weren't going to waffle too much at the start of this video. Oh well. Okay, let's get back on track. Focus. Forget the distracting tasty sweets and let's focus on what we're here to do. The project that I chose to concentrate on a daily basis, turning some sock tubes into socks for the lovely appeal that's being run by our dear friend Jeanette. She is collecting socks to donate to members of staff at the West Midlands Ambulance Service. She was inspired to do this because her daughter works at the service, and I mentioned this back near the start of the year, and lots of lovely members of the Yarn and Yarns community donated sock yarn to that cause, and the lovely Charlie of Cranky Lady turned those sock yarn balls into sock tubes, and I have been busy throughout April turning some of those tubes into socks. So I've been knitting a lot of heels, toes and cuffs. So that was the thing that I was trying to daily focus on throughout April, and as a result I have this huge collection of socks to send up to Jeanette. I didn't actually count how many pairs I ended up with, so let's do that quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 9 pairs of socks here ready to go in a box, with some others that I've already made and some that have been donated. So I think I might make a separate update video about socks for womas, just because so many of the lovely members of the Yarn and Yarns community have been involved in that. So yeah, I might go through these socks in a little bit more detail on a separate video that I'll pop up on the channel later in the month, because I've also got some lovely pairs of socks that have been donated that I'd like to show off too. Through May I'm going to take a break from making the socks for womas, but I'll definitely get back to that later on in the year. On my making plans list, I had 2 other projects that were chosen with the help of my trusty dice rolling, and both of these happen to be projects that I cast on for the 12 cast-ons back at the end of last year, the beginning of this year, and I'm happy to say that I got both of these projects finished this month. So the first was the hitchhiker shawl that I was making. This is a pattern by Martina Behm. The only thing I need to do is just weave in. I've got 2 ends to weave in. This has recently been blocked, so yeah, I just need to weave those 2 ends in. And I knit this from a beautiful skein of yarn that my dear friend Erin had custom dyed for me, based on a cover of one of the editions of The Secret Garden, which is my favourite book ever. So yeah, this is just such a beautiful colourway, lots of lovely tones of green and orange in this, and yeah, I just decided to turn this special skein into a hitchhiker. So I pretty much used, I think, every last drop of this yarn, and yeah, it's made a beautiful hitchhiker shawl. And although we're in the beginning of May now, we've had quite a few cold days here in South Wales, so I think there is a chance that I will be wearing this in the not too distant future. I did modify the hitchhiker pattern slightly. Every few rows I added in some eyelets, which I think you can just about see there. A little bit trickier to see in this sort of variegated yarn, but I think you can see the detail when I hold it out. And it made what is essentially just a garter stitch project with a bit of increasing and decreasing, a little bit more interesting to sort of add those eyelet rows in. Beautiful. Love this project so much, so much. I'm gonna wear this no end when the weather is cool enough for sure. And the second project that got finished this month is my little moose. So this is a pattern from Susan B. Anderson, and it was in an issue of Making magazine. I think it was the Forest issue, and I cast this on using, for the most part, the yarns that you would find in a British breeds box from Charlie Buttons. And again, if you followed here for a while, you'll know that I sell the lovely Charlie Button yarns over in the Yarn and Yarns web shop. And here is my finished moose in all his glory. He looks a little bit wonky, but he's not. I think it's me holding him up at a weird angle. So yes, I used the only yarn that I ended up switching out of the British Breeds box is for his sweater with the trees on. I used a little bit of green handspun. There are 4 colours in the British Breeds box. The 4th colour is another sort of natural grey brown colour, but in the original pattern design, Moose has green for the trees on his sweater, and I really like that, so I decided just to swap that last colour out and swap in some handspun. So I'm so happy with how this chubby little moose turned out. He's just adorable. I think I probably could have done a little bit better job pairing my handspun. Well, it's not my handspun, it was some handspun that was gifted to me. But I think the handspun that I used had a little bit of silk in it and didn't sort of puff up quite as nicely in the colour work. So the colour work is a little bit less neat than I would usually like to see. But honestly, I think, you know, it's a really fun kind of a frivolous project, and it kind of like suits his rustic moosey nature, I think. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. 2 projects off of the needles, my 12 cast-ons adventure this year. So yeah, I think next month, it's going to be June, isn't it, the halfway point of the year. So I think next month at some point I might make a sort of progress video on where I'm at with the 12 cast-ons, how far I've got and how much more work I've got to go if I wanted to try and get those 12 projects off the needles by the end of the year. So yeah, I think I'll do that at some point in June. I have a crochet project to share with you next. I think at the end of the April making plans video, I kind of threw out my intention to make a baby blanket for my brother and his partner, who are due to have a baby this month, a little baby girl. And I kind of threw it in as a last minute, yeah, I kind of needed to do that. But I am happy to say I managed to get a blanket made, and it's probably going to be a bit tricky to show this blanket on camera. But I used 1 cake of Katia organic, I think it's called Concept. I have completely forgotten, it's slipped my mind, but it's an organic cotton, and it basically had this kind of muted rainbow at one end, and then just a neutral colour through sort of the rest of the ball of yarn. And I decided to make, as baby is due now, and obviously we will hope to be going into summer and warmer weather, I wanted to make a sort of lighter weight cotton blanket for my brother and his partner to be able to, you know, perhaps sling over the pram or just pop out into the garden for baby to crawl around on in the summer months. So yeah, I managed to get that done. I didn't follow a particular pattern, I just did a really sort of simple zigzag sort of chevron type stitch. It's turned out to be quite open and loose, which I think suits the cotton quite well, because it means it's quite nice and soft and quite nice and sort of drapey. And yeah, like I say, it's impossible to share the whole project on camera, but I think you get an idea of the sort of top colour portion, and then the rest is this lovely natural colour. And when I started crocheting this, I started at the sort of natural end to kind of get that one out of the way, because it was quite a long slog to get through all of that in one colour. So I thought I'd save the fun bit to the end. But it struck me, these 2 colours in particular are quite a good match for the monster that I made from my handspun yarn, which will also go into this gift package. So yeah, they match quite well. I think they look quite nice together for a sort of little gift set to send to my brother, and I can do that now that I've shown this project off. And then finally, to wrap up the making, I have some spinning to share with you. I managed to finish one spinning project in April, and that was a project that has been hanging around for 3 years. So I finished spinning this skein of yarn on my drop spindle from some Ashford Sliver fibre, which was a combination of New Zealand merino and silk, and I started this while we were travelling in New Zealand 3 years ago, and I managed to get the first half of the fibre spun, and then it just sat languishing and I kept getting distracted by other projects. So this skein is now finished. Now, as you can imagine, this is probably not my most consistent work. I have been spinning on and off now for just over 3 years, I think. So when I started spinning this on my drop spindle, the first half of this, I was still a fairly new spinner. And since then, I've done quite a bit more spinning. So my first lot of singles were sort of a little bit less consistent, and the second half of the singles were a little bit finer. So yeah, this is, I guess that's the perils of not completing a spin in a timely manner. However, I'm not unhappy with this yarn. I think I love the colours, of course. Lots of oranges with some pinky tones in here too. And I think the yarn is going to be lovely to knit with nonetheless, even if it's not the most kind of consistent that I have ever spun. So yeah, that was 100 grams of fibre spun up entirely on my drop spindles. And then I have 2 spins in progress. One, I can't share the actual spinning in progress, is on my e-spinner downstairs, but I will show you the fibre that I'm spinning. You may remember, if you watched any of my Advent video series, that I did an Advent swap with the lovely Caroline of Colourful Creativity, and Caroline sent me a whole bunch of these gorgeous rolags that she had blended up on her blending board, and this bag was pretty much chock full when I started to spin. I think there's probably over 100 grams of fibre that she sent. I didn't actually weigh it before I started spinning, which is so bad. I need to get much better with my hand spinning record keeping, and I'm going to hopefully make some inroads into that over the next few weeks. But yeah, this bag was pretty much chock full to the brim with these rolags, and I've only got sort of maybe 4 or 5 left in there to spin now. So that is in progress on my e-spinner, and I also have a second spin in progress on my support spindles. So here is one. I'm just starting to refill this spindle. This is from Viscount Wood Turning, a company out of Canada, and it's a gorgeous bog oak support spindle. You can also use this one as a drop spindle too, but I'm spinning up a bunch of glorious fibre. Let me just grab some out of my basket to show you. This is some it's trying to escape because I have split this all down and it's all in sort of little nests. This is a fibre that was so kindly gifted to me by the lovely Jenny of Owl About Yarn, and it is a blend of Blueface Leicester and Sea Cell. And Jenny sent this to me because something didn't quite go to plan in the dye process, so she sent out a braid of it to me and said, if you can do something with this, then please do. And it's absolutely beautiful. So although it may not have matched up to what Jenny had in mind when she dyed, it's absolutely beautiful to spin. And I've got a little basket of some singles that I've already spun up and wound off of my spindles, and I'm starting to fill up the spindles again. I've got 3 support spindles that I'm using in this project. The one that I'm filling up again from Viscount, and then I've got 2 from Edith Ashcroft. So these were full to the brim a couple of days ago, so I decided it was time to wind off those singles and start filling them up again. So yeah, there's my little basket of pre-prepared nest of fibre. I'm just grabbing at random and spinning a little bit every day on my support spindles. Right, okay, final section. Had to put my glasses on for this one because I needed to read a couple of things. But I have got the first quarter prize draw winner announcement for the 12 cast-ons of Christmas 2020. And I have entries on Ravelry in our finished objects thread, some on Instagram, and also some via email. So thank you to everyone who has been sending me your finished object photos. Please continue to post your finished object photos as you finish your projects. This technically is the draw, the first quarter draw. So what is that? January to March. I'm just way behind. And I put everyone's kind of name into a spreadsheet from all of the different places where I received photos of finished objects, did a random number draw, And the winner was Anne, who is Miscellany and Quirk over on Instagram. And this is the post. Let me try and hold this up. This is the project that Anne finished, a beautiful hat. I'm going to be sending you a prize that was donated by the lovely Jeanette. It is this prismatic sushi roll in the carnival colourway from Easy Knits. And it looks like basically a sock blank that's been sort of rolled up into skein form. So really fun, beautiful colours, blues, greens, a little bit of purple in there too. So well done, Anne. I'll contact you and arrange to get this sent out to you as soon as I have your address to do so. And then finally, to wrap up this video, I would like to offer up a couple of prizes as a 1,000 subscriber giveaway. And I thought I'd give two options here. I recently had a beautiful donation I mentioned earlier in the video from the lovely Kate, who is a wonderful member of our Yarn and Yarns community. And Kate sent 3 lovely skeins of yarn, which she said I could keep 1 and I could use 2 for podcast prize giveaways. So I have, they're all beautiful. As you can see, they're all in my colour wheelhouse. So it's been very, very hard to choose. I think I'm going to be keeping this skein, which is from Joy to the Wool, in the autumnal jaunt colourway. And it's got these sort of gorgeous pinky purpley colours with some orange in there too. And I think that's a really, really lovely colourway. So I'm going to be hanging on to this one. And I'm going to be giving away one of these as part of our 1,000 subscriber giveaway. So I'm just going to quickly think, which one shall I give away? I think I will save that one for later on in the year, and we'll give away this one from Unbelievable. And this is in the titanium sock base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 425 meters for 100 grams. And this is the Sizzler colourway. And apparently it was a exclusive to Fibre East in 2018. So not a colour that you will see. And I really, really love these sort of strong oranges with these hints of black and purple in there. I think that is absolutely glorious. So I am going to be very begrudgingly giving this up as a prize. The second prize that I have to give away as part of this 1,000 subscriber giveaway was recently donated by the lovely Jenny of Owl About Yarn, and she has donated some of her BFL sea cell, which is what I'm spinning in that beautiful purple colourway. This is the Brownie Camp colourway, so it's 70% white blue faced Leicester and 30% sea cell, and I can confirm that it spins absolutely beautifully. It's a really interesting spin because the sort of sea cell does not take the dye at all, and obviously the BFL does, so you get these really fun kind of strands of what looks almost like undyed silk running through your sort of singles when you spin. So yes, the prizes are these two, both in the lovely orange wheelhouse. I think that's very fitting for a Yarn and Yarns giveaway. I obviously would like this to go to a spinner, someone who's going to use it. So I would like you, when you leave your prize draw entry, to let me know whether you'd like to go in. So I'm going to keep the 2 draws separately. I'd like you to let me know in your comment whether you would like to win the yarn or the fibre. This is Editing Ange, just quickly popping in to have a little bit of an addendum to the giveaway. Both of the products that I have in the giveaway are obviously wool based, and I know there are some folks out there who for various reasons are unable to work with wool. If that's you and you want to enter the giveaway, because I'm happy to have you here and I want everyone who's part of the Yarn and Yarns community to feel like they can enter if they want to, then please do feel free to jump in and leave a giveaway comment, and just comment yarn or fibre. And once I do the prize draw, if you're pulled out and you can't work with wool, then when you contact me, just let me know. As you know, I have an online yarn shop, and I can very easily substitute a prize. So if you can only work with acrylic, if you can only work with, I don't know, alpaca, if you need cotton, just let me know. Don't let the fact that these prizes are sort of wool based put you off of entering the giveaway, because if you have a reason for not being able to work with wool, I will be very, very happy to substitute the prizes in order to make this giveaway as inclusive as possible. And I should mention that attached to the fibre here is one of Jenny's lovely new progress keepers, her Ollivander the owl. So that's like a little extra that's attached to the fibre too. So when I was thinking about this giveaway, my lovely friend Erin was mentioned, wouldn't it be fun to do a sort of pay it forward giveaway? And I was trying to figure out how I could actually do that, and I wasn't quite sure how that would work as such, but I thought I would kind of bring that into the giveaway in some way. So in order to be in with a chance to win either this yarn or this fibre, what you need to do is leave me a comment below and let me know either something nice that someone has done for you recently or something nice that you have done for someone else recently. So it could be something really small, like, I don't know, you made your mum, partner, gran, uncle, aunt a nice cup of tea and brought it to them with a biscuit, and just, yeah, or it could be some big grand gesture. It could be something lovely that someone has done for you recently. Although things, at least here in the UK, seem to be starting to get a little bit better, we're still all really struggling with the events that have happened in the last sort of year or so. So I think it would be nice to have all of the comments below this video filled up with joy, so filled up with some nice things. Please leave me a comment below letting me know something nice that's either happened to you or you've done for someone else, and alongside that comment let me know whether you want to go into the draw for the yarn or for the fibre. And when I come back with my May wrap-up video, I shall do the prize draw. I have recorded this in little segments as I've been wandering around the room grabbing stuff and just being a little bit unorganised, so I have no idea how long this video is. We shall see. And I hope you enjoyed following along, finding out what progress, or not in some cases, that I made on the sort of goals that I set myself back at the beginning of the month. Don't forget to enter the giveaway, and also if you're leaving a comment, then please do let me know what you managed to get finished or work on during the month of April. I'm going to sign off here, but I shall be back again soon with some more content. I suspect my next video will be my May making plans video, but whichever comes next, I hope you will join me again soon. Until we get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. I'm off to snack on some more chicken bones. What a weird thing to say.